Welcome to American Nightmares. Hey horror fiends, buckle up for American Nightmares, your go-to channel for the creepiest true stories tearing through the USA's darkest corners. Tonight, we're cruising down lonely roads where the night hides terrors that'll haunt your dreams. From ghostly hitchhikers to things that shouldn't exist, these three true encounters will make you rethink driving after dark. Smash that subscribe button, hit the bell, and share your own road nightmares in the comments.
In the summer of 2014, 29-year-old Carlos, a long-haul trucker, was driving his pickup through Nevada's desolate Highway 50, known as the loneliest road in America. It was just past midnight, the air dry and starry, with no other vehicles for miles. Carlos liked the solitude, the hum of his engine the only sound breaking the silence. He'd heard stories about Highway 50, truckers vanishing, strange lights in the desert, but he dismissed them as road-weary myths. His GPS showed 200 miles to the next town, so he sipped energy drinks and kept his eyes on the road. At 12:15 a.m., his headlights caught something ahead, a tall, thin figure standing dead center in the lane, motionless. Carlos slowed, assuming it was a hitchhiker or a stranded motorist. The figure was at least 7 feet tall, dressed in a dark, tattered jacket, its head bowed, face hidden by a wide-brimmed hat. No backpack, no reflective gear, just standing there, like it was waiting. Carlos flashed his high beams, expecting it to move. It didn't. He honked, the sound swallowed by the desert. The figure remained still, unnaturally rigid. Unease crept in. Carlos pulled to the shoulder, keeping his lights on the figure, now 20 yards away. "Hey, you okay?" he shouted through the open window. No response. The figure's head tilted slightly, as if listening, but its face stayed shadowed. Carlos noticed something off. The jacket hung wrong, like it was draped over bones, and the hands, long claw-like fingers, dangled past the knees. His stomach churned. He revved the engine, ready to drive around, when the figure moved. Not walked, glided, its feet barely touching the ground, closing the distance in seconds. Carlos slammed the gas, swerving back onto the road. In his side mirror, the figure stood where he'd stopped, its head now raised, eyes glowing white like reflective road signs. He floored it, heart pounding, the speedometer hitting 80. Miles later, he glanced in the rearview mirror and froze. The figure was there, standing in the road again, closer, its glowing eyes locked on him. No way it could have kept up. He blinked, and it was gone. The road was empty, but the air in the cab felt heavy, like someone was breathing down his neck. At a gas station 50 miles later, Carlos spilled the story to a grizzled cashier who nodded grimly. "That's the headlight man," he said. "Been seen on 50 for years. Stands in the road, waits for you to stop. Some don't make it out." The cashier showed him a logbook of trucker stories, sketches of a tall, skeletal figure, accounts of radios going static and trucks stalling. Carlos never drove Highway 50 again. Those eyes, he says, they weren't human, they were hunting.
In the fall of 2006, 42-year-old Rachel, a nurse, was driving home from a late shift in Portland, Oregon. A rainstorm battered her old Honda, the wipers struggling against sheets of water. It was 1 a.m., and she'd taken a back road through dense forest to avoid city traffic. The road was narrow, flanked by towering pines, with no streetlights or oncoming cars. Her radio was off, the only sounds the rain's drumbeat and the tires' hum. She'd heard rumors about this road, disappearances, ghostly sightings, but chalked them up to local gossip. At 1:15 a.m., she spotted a woman standing by the road, soaked and shivering in a thin dress, no coat or umbrella. Rachel's instincts kicked in. She couldn't leave someone out in this storm. She pulled over, rolling down the passenger window. "Need a lift?" she called. The woman, maybe 30, with pale skin and dark hair plastered to her face, nodded silently and climbed in. Her dress was old-fashioned, like something from the 1950s, and she smelled faintly of damp earth. "Thank you," she whispered, voice soft but clear. "I'm heading to Mill Creek." Rachel nodded, starting to drive. The woman sat still, hands folded in her lap, staring straight ahead. Rachel tried small talk. Awful night, huh? But got only a faint smile. Something felt off. The woman's skin was too pale, almost translucent, and her eyes, when Rachel glanced, were too dark, like deep wells. The car's heater was on, but the air grew colder, the windows fogging despite the defroster. Rachel's breath was visible, the woman's wasn't. 10 minutes later, nearing Mill Creek, Rachel turned to ask where to drop her off. The passenger seat was empty. No trace of the woman, no wet marks, no scent, nothing. She slammed on the brakes, heart racing, checking the back seat. Empty. She hadn't stopped or opened the doors. Shaking, she drove to a 24-hour diner where a waitress listened to her story. "You met Mary," the waitress said, pointing to a faded newspaper clipping on the wall. It described a 1958 hit-and-run on that road. A woman in a dress, killed instantly, never identified. "She hitches rides, then vanishes," the waitress added. Rachel avoids that road now, haunted by those dark eyes in her dreams.
In the spring of 2010, 25-year-old Tyler, a mechanic, was driving his motorcycle through the Texas Hill Country, heading home after a late-night job. It was 2 a.m., the air thick with fog, and the winding road curved sharply through limestone cliffs. Tyler loved the thrill of these roads, but tonight felt different. Too quiet, the stars hidden by clouds. He'd heard tales of Screaming Curve, a notorious bend where drivers reported hearing wails or seeing figures, but he laughed them off as urban legends. At 2:10 a.m., approaching the curve, his headlight flickered, then steadied. A low, keening sound cut through the engine's roar, like a woman screaming, faint but growing louder. Tyler slowed, thinking it was an animal or wind. Then he saw it. A figure in the road, humanoid but wrong, its mouth stretched impossibly wide in a silent scream, eyes black voids. He swerved, nearly crashing into the ditch, and gunned it past the curve. The scream followed, now inside his helmet, deafening and inhuman. Miles later, he stopped at a gas station, shaking. The clerk, an old man, knew the story. "That's the screamer," he said. "Died in a wreck there in '83. Shows up when the fog's thick." Tyler found online forums later, filled with similar accounts, drivers hearing screams, seeing the figure, some crashing. He sold his motorcycle and takes main roads now. "That scream," he says, "it's still in my head, like it's calling me back."
Did these road terrors make your heart race? Smash that like button and subscribe to American Nightmares for more true tales of fear. Share your own creepy road stories in the comments. What's the scariest thing you've seen after dark?